Welcome back to Doing the Math at Home. My name's Tracy Fox. I'm a teacher development specialist, and this is HISD at Home TV. Today, boys and girls, for our lesson, we are going to focus on modeling, representing, and solving one-step addition and subtraction word math stories. So for today's lesson, there are a few things that I need you to grab before we get started. The first thing I need you to get is something to write on. It can be a notebook or a few sheets of loose leaf paper. The other item that you will need for today is either some markers, a colored pencil, or even just a regular old pencil will work for our activity. Boys and girls, let's review. To get started for our review section, we're going to do two things today. One, we're going to go ahead and review our three-read strategy, and our second activity will be to go ahead and apply this three-read strategy to a practice problem. So let's think about why we need to have a three-read strategy. Many times, and I've done it myself, when I look at a word problem, sometimes I get confused and all I want to do is look at the numbers and add them all together. But that defeats the purpose of trying to solve a math story. So when we think about a math story, we want you to focus on comprehension. And this is how we do that. We are going to read our math story 3 times. The first time we read our math story, we want to focus on what is the story about. We're looking at the character. What items are in the story? What's happening? The second time we go through and read our problem, we want to think about what is the question asking me? What do I need to find out? And the third time that we read a story, we focus on what do I know? What do I need to know? So this three-read strategy is going to help us with our comprehension before we even make a decision on what math we want to use to solve a math story. Let's apply our three-read strategy to a review problem. So remember, the first time we read through, we're going to focus on what is the story about. So let's read this together. There were 24 books on a shelf. Tom removed 10 of the books. How many books are on the shelf now? So what do we know about this story? We know 2 things. We know that this story is about Tom and that he had 24 books. So go ahead and grab a piece of paper and a pencil and go ahead and write this stuff down. So just write the word about, and then we're going to write down next to this that this story is about Tom and the books that he has on a shelf. Let's read this problem again a second time and focus on what am I supposed to find out when I'm reading this math story. There were 24 books on a shelf. Tom removed 10 of the books. How many books are on the shelf now? I wonder what we're trying to find out. I'm going to go ahead and look at that question again. How many books are on the shelf now? So something's happening to the books. We started with some books, something's happening, and now I need to know how many are left at the end. So what do we need to find out? We're going to find out the number of books that are left. Okay, now we're going to read it the last time, and we're going to focus on what do we know. So one more time. There were 24 books on a shelf. Tom removed, so we removed them, 10 of the books. How many books are on the shelf now? So what do we know? We know that Tom started with his books on a shelf and there were 24 of them when he started. We also know that he went up to the shelf and he actually removed 10 of them. So those are the 2 pieces of information we know. We know he started with 24 books, and we also know that he removed 10 of them. So now let's think about how we can represent our problem. And we're going to use a strip diagram to do that. Strip diagrams help us process the information and create a mental picture with what's going on. So let's go back to this first sentence that's in blue. There were 24 books on a shelf. That's our first quantity. So we're going to go ahead and start creating our strip diagram. You can draw a rectangle on your page and put the 24 on the inside. So we know that Tom started with 24 books on the shelf. What happened next in our math story? We know that Tom did what? He removed 10 of those books from the shelf. So I know that from the 24, he removed 10 of the books. So my question was, how many books are on the shelf now? Well, I don't think we know that. I think that that's something that we need to figure out. So that's going to be my last part of my strip diagram. So I know he started with 24. I know he removed 10, but I don't know how many books are left on the shelf. So let's think about it. What kind of number sentence could we generate? If I had 24 books and I'm taking them off, do I see that quantity getting larger? I don't think so, because I know that my original total number of books that I had, or that Tom had, was actually 24. So when we look at the number sentence, we know that Tom started with 24 books. We also know that he then removed 10 books, but we don't know what he ended up with. So I can draw my square to represent the difference. So we would read this as 10 from 24 is the same as an unknown difference. So let's transition this onto our number line, and let's look and see if we can represent this value using this number line. So we've represented it with a strip diagram. We've represented it with a number sentence. Let's see if we can represent it on a number line. So what do we know? We know that we started here with 24. And then what happened? We removed 10. We removed 10, and then we're left with our unknown difference. So let's take this one step further. Can we mentally do the math? If I take 10 from 24 and I regroup and remove a group of 10, I think we can show that right here. If I take the 24, let's represent it with base 10 blocks. I've got 24, and I remove a group of 10, then we know that we're left with one group of 10 and four groups of 1, and 10 and 4 is the same as 14. So let's finish up our number sentence. If I take 10 from 24, I know that the difference is 14. So boys and girls, what I'd like you to do is get a clean sheet of paper as we transition into our Let's Learn section. Boys and girls, as we get ready to get into this section, I need you to grab your piece of paper. And I need you to go ahead and draw this representation on your paper at home so that you can work along with me. As we review today, we reviewed this 3-read strategy and how to apply that to a math problem, and then we were able to represent the problem using a strip diagram, a number sentence, and using a number line. For this Let's Learn section, we are going to apply the 3-read strategy again, and then we're going to be able to represent it with a strip diagram and a number sentence, but this time we're going to solve it using a number line. So let's go ahead and get right back into our work today. So as we remember, the first read, we are going to focus on what is the story about. So let's read our math story. A farmer had 235 tomatoes. He sold some of these tomatoes at a farmer's market. Now he has 86 tomatoes. How many tomatoes did the farmer sell at the market? So, I'm wondering what the story is about. When I read this, I knew that this story is about a farmer who's selling tomatoes at a market. So when I ask what is the story about, you guys go ahead and write this down, we know that our story is about a farmer tomatoes, and a market. Okay, let's go ahead and read this a second time, focusing on the information that I need to find out. So a farmer had 235 tomatoes. He sold some of these tomatoes at a farmer's market. That's going to make me stop for a minute because I read that he sold some of these tomatoes. I don't know that quantity, so that's one thing I need to find out. Okay, now he has 86 tomatoes. Okay, so I know what he's ending with. How many tomatoes did the farmer sell at the market? So this question aligns to what I'm trying to find out, which is that he sold some of those tomatoes at a farmer's market. So what do we need to find out, boys and girls? We need to find out how many tomatoes that farmer sold, or the number of tomatoes sold. Okay, when we're writing these things down, we want to keep it quick. So now for our third read, we want to know what information we have in the story. What do I already know? So a farmer had 235 tomatoes. So we know that he has those. If he has them, he owns them. And then what did he do? He sold some. So he took some out of his quantity and he sold them to other people. And now at the end of the day, he has 86 tomatoes left. How many tomatoes did the farmer sell at the market? So what do we know? We know he started with 235 tomatoes. And we also know that at the end of the day, he had 86 tomatoes left. So we've really processed the information that's in our math story. Now we can start looking at how we represent what's happening. So let's take a look at the first sentence. What did we know from the first sentence? We knew that a farmer had 235 tomatoes. So I want you to go ahead and create your strip diagram with me. So we know that this is a large quantity. It's a starting total. So we're going to go ahead and draw our strip diagram. And this is 235. And these are the tomatoes that our farmer started with. Then what happened? He sold some tomatoes at the market. Do I know how many tomatoes he sold? No, but out of those 235, I know that he sold some. So I'm going to put my question mark there, and I'm going to put sold here. So I don't know how many he sold, but I do know one more piece of information, and that is that our farmer ended his day with 86 tomatoes. So I know out of the 235, that 86 is the tomatoes that were left at the end of the day. So we can generate two number sentences here. We can write this as 235 minus something is equal to 86. Or I can generate a number sentence that says that 235 minus 86 is equal to the tomatoes that I sold. Or it's the same as the tomatoes that I sold. So let's go ahead, take this a step further, and let's use our number line to solve. So once again, we know that we started with 235 tomatoes, and we know that we ended with 86 tomatoes. So we're going to go ahead and work backwards here on our number line and see what the difference is between 235 and 86. So I see 235. Well, I like friendly numbers. I like 5s, 10s, and 100s. And so I'm going to go ahead and make a jump back of minus 100. And when I jump back 100 from 235 is going to put me at 135. I'm not to 86 yet, so I'm going to keep going. Well, when I see 135, I see that there's 3 groups of 10 there. So let's just jump back our 3 groups of 10. So this is 10, 10, and 10. So if you're confused, let me show you. I have 135, and I can decompose this into 130 and 5. I'm going to use the 30 first, which I did here. So now I'm at 105. And my next friendly number is 100. So I know that this is a jump of minus 5. All right, now I'm at 100. And I need to get back to 86. So I think I'll go ahead and take another jump of 10 back, which gets me to 90. And then I can jump back 4 to get me to 86. 89, 88, 87, 86. Each of those are a jump of 1. Now, what we can do is we can just take these values and add them up. So I have 100 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. So 10, 20, 30. Plus 5 plus 10 plus 4. Well, 30 and 10 is 40. 5 and 4 is 9. And if I pull down the 100, I have 100 plus 40 plus 9, which gets me to the number of tomatoes sold as 149 tomatoes. Boys and girls, we've done a lot of work. We've used our 3-read strategy to help us comprehend the story, and then we were able, once we understood our story, we were able to generate a strip diagram, some number sentences, and we were able to solve using a number line. We're going to move into the let's practice piece of our lesson. As we do that, ask an adult at home to grab a camera. That way you can take a picture of the practice problem that's going to show on your screen. Let's look at our practice problem for today. Represent the following math story using a strip diagram and a number sentence. Then solve. Remember to use the 3-read strategy to understand the story. Problem: a flower shop had 324 flowers. Then it received a shipment of some flowers. Now the flower shop has 420 flowers. How many flowers did the flower shop receive?
Let's look at our practice problem for today. Represent the following math story using a strip diagram and a number sentence. Then solve. Remember to use the 3 read strategy to understand the story. Problem: a flower shop had 324 flowers. Then it received a shipment of some flowers. Now the flower shop has 420 flowers. How many flowers did the flower shop receive?
Boys and girls, thank you for joining me today. We had a great day of reviewing our 3 read strategy and being able to represent a problem using a strip diagram and number sentences, and then being able to solve an addition or subtraction one-step problem using a number line. If you have any questions about today's lesson, please feel free to reach out to your classroom teacher. And parents and guardians, if there are additional resources that you would like to have, they're available on our Houston ISD at Home website. My name is Tracy Fox, and I'm wishing you an amazing math day.